be honest, I was not planning on filming this video this week. In fact, I was not planning on filming this video at all, just because I feel like this is a very niche subject and there's only a select group of people who would be interested in hearing about this topic. But after the overwhelming response from the people of Instagram, I have decided to film this video for you today. Hi, honey. I have heard from you. Hi, honey. That there are a lot of people who are either in middle schooling and would love some information. A lot of people who are close to homeschooling and are wondering what we do because they're feeling very lost and overwhelmed. Even a lot of people who aren't close to homeschooling yet but want to start setting themselves up and preparing themselves because they can see homeschooling in the future. This will be our 4th official year doing homeschool, and this year I am teaching 3rd grade, 1st grade, pre-K, and I have a toddler as well. Every year we have modified the way that we do things. Every year we learn more and more. I am not someone who has any experience whatsoever. In fact, if you go back far back on my channel and watch some old Q&As, I know I've been asked before if I had planned on homeschooling. 5 years ago, I would have said no. I would have told you that I don't believe that I'm good at teaching. I would have told you that we planned on sending our kids to school, and I never once even considered the possibility of homeschooling, but God opened the door for us and here we are, and now we cannot imagine it any other way. So this is what we do. I'm not going to tell you that this is the only way to do it. I'm not going to tell you that homeschool is superior to public school or private school because it's different for everyone. But I am here to tell you what I know and what we're doing and what we've learned. This week is our first week back into school. We are starting the 2025-2026 school year. I'm sure our routine and curriculum will be slightly adjusted as we go, but today I'm going to share with you our plan, our rhythm, our curriculum. I'm going to share with you some resources, how I'm entertaining a toddler while also teaching 3 other children. But right now I want to get started with our school day. So I'm going to call up the kids, we're going to do our school, and I will come back and chat with you after. Father God, we thank you so much for this day. Amen. Okay, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart. Good job. Okay, we're just going to look at the calendar.
Mom, do I just have to trace these?
Let's first talk about our requirements and our goals, because this is hugely what shapes what our days look like, the curriculum that we choose. First and foremost, we are a Christian family, so whatever curriculum that we choose, it needs to be biblically sound. The next most important thing for me is that the curriculum needs to be really easy to teach. It needs to be open and go, which means all I have to do is open it and read it, teach it to the child, and we can move on with our day. As a busy mom of 4, I just don't have the time to be spending hours and hours each week planning out each lesson. I'm also not the mom who's going to spend hours and hours preparing crafts and doing all these nature walks and nature journals and stuff like that with my kids. I wish I was the mom who could do those things, but being in the situation that we are, that's just not our reality. And truthfully, I don't think my kids really care for it much at all. Sometimes I find that doing all of these pre-planned crafts and things sometimes hinders their imagination. We have found that sometimes stepping back is the best thing, just letting their imagination run wild, giving them blank pieces of paper to draw what they want to draw, giving them hours and hours of free play, giving them toys that are open-ended. These are ways that we really encourage creativity in our children, spending hours outside exploring nature the way that their little minds want to explore. Having this approach has been very freeing for me as the one teaching them school, because I'm not spending so much of my time planning things that end up not being appreciated. So this is my encouragement encouragement to you, if you are a little bit overwhelmed and you're seeing all these moms doing all these fun activities with their kids, know that you don't have to do all those things for your kids to have an amazing homeschool experience. So, biblically sound, open and go. We also need to make sure that the curriculum we choose is going to line up with the requirements for each grade according to our government. I won't go into the specifics of this because it's different for every province, state, country, but I want to make sure that what I'm teaching is on par with what they are expected to learn. And so I want to pick a curriculum that's going to line up with that. I would say those are the three main requirements for us. Now, our goal in homeschooling is to create an environment where learning is fun, an environment where they feel safe, where they are being challenged, but simultaneously an environment where they're not being forced to do things that they just can't comprehend. One of the things I love about homeschooling is that I am one person to 4 individuals, whereas in a classroom it is one person to many more individuals. And so I have the ability to give them more of my time, more one-on-one attention. I have the ability to change things up as I see fit. If I'm seeing there's something that they're really struggling with, I can change the curriculum, I can change our approach, I can spend more time on that. I also have a really unique perspective being their mother, because I know their personalities, I know what works for them, I know how they learn and what interests them, and so I have this unique ability to teach them in the way that is best suited for them. Really, the biggest thing that we want to develop within homeschooling is a love for learning, a lifelong love for learning. We don't want it to be this thing where you just have to do it every single day, you get it done and you move on. We really felt that for us within the school system, that's how it felt. We had to crash study for these tests. We would write the test and then we forgot everything the next day. That's not what we want for our kids. We want our kids to really enjoy the process of learning, to teach them in a way that hopefully what they learn will stick with them and not get lost. So all that to say, I will talk about our curriculum picks in a moment and why exactly we chose them for each particular child. But while we're on the subject, we should first talk about planning. I try to keep planning at a minimum. Most of our curriculum is very open and go, but there are some things that I still need to plan, and I need to keep track of these things for documentation's sake, for reports, for the government, and all this other stuff. So when I plan, I use my Golden Coil planner. I've gotten a lot of questions about this. Yes, I still use my Golden Coil planner. I absolutely love this thing. This is a personalized planner and I use it every single day, and I have been for years. This is where I keep track of pretty much everything in our day-to-day lives, but I needed something a little bit more specific for homeschool for documentation purposes, but also to help divide things up a little bit because it was starting to get a little bit confusing because there was life stuff, work stuff, and homeschool stuff all mushed up into one, and it was just starting to get too much. I divided it up a little bit. I found this planner. It was recently released by Mary from Salis Living. I will link this below because this is what I've been looking for years. I'm really excited about it. She has worked so hard to make this thing absolutely beautiful as well as very useful. So there's sections in here for yearly overviews, learning goals, curriculum plans, daily rhythms. There's calendars in here for each month, but I think my most favorite part is the lesson plans pages. So I think there is a page for every single week of the year in here. So hopefully we won't be filling up this whole thing because we do like to take a long summer break, but I anticipate this is going to help me keep my head very clear. I'll have something to reference back to. So I'll only need to spend maybe 5-10 minutes at the beginning of each week just writing out what we want to get done. And then I have it written down. I have it planned. And if I have it planned and written down, I'm much more likely to actually do it. Let's talk curriculum. We keep all of our curriculum right here in our kitchen. This makes it really easy because we do school right here in the kitchen. It's just very convenient. Here's our grade 3, grade 1, and pre-K. Starting with the oldest grade, grade 3, we have decided to go with the good and the beautiful again. We've done this curriculum for 3 years now for language arts and math. From my understanding, it is a Mormon-based curriculum, not a Christian curriculum. So I am very cautious about everything that we're reading, but so far I haven't seen anything that has not aligned with our own beliefs. If there was anything that would raise a red flag, we would discuss it with our children and I might consider a different curriculum, but I haven't seen anything of the sort. We have done a couple different curriculums, but this one really seems to work the best for us. I would say it is a little bit advanced, so there are some times when we won't complete the whole lesson because it gets a little bit repetitive, or we'll divide a lesson into 2 days because it's a little bit heavy sometimes. But I do love their approach and the way that they break things down, and they repeat things over and over again. They revisit subjects so that it's not just you learn it once and you forget about it. I especially love it for the older grades, like grade 1 and beyond. I actually bought the pre-K curriculum for my 4-year-old, and we started going through it, but it was feeling really heavy, really overwhelming for him. And so we're taking a different approach, but I'll get to that in a minute. Grade 3. So the biggest subjects for us, the most foundational subjects, are math and language arts at this age. So these are the ones that we really focus on. These are the ones that we get bookwork for. Each of these are divided into 120 lessons, which is nice because it's just even across the board. We know that our homeschool year will be 120 days, and so we generally divide that up into 4 school days each week, starting around end of August, ending end of April sometime. That gives us a lot of wiggle room for taking breaks here and there, sick days, and so on. The math curriculum is one that we have especially loved. We just love the way that the subjects are approached. They do it in a fun and engaging way. And I think the first 3 grades also come with a math box, which includes manipulatives that go along with the lesson. Many of the lessons include different games. It's not all book work. There's a lot of activities included and involved, which we really appreciate. I feel like those activities really helps to engage my children. It makes math fun. It helps the information stick a little bit better. So that's math. Language arts is a very similar approach. 120 lessons in here is all laid out beautifully. Each lesson in both language arts and math for all grades starts with a parent-teacher lesson followed by independent work. In grade 3, we are reading through a few of these books, which include some phonics practice and then a student reading portion followed by a teacher reading portion. And so we're reading through this book together. We're getting our phonics practice in. Their language arts also includes geography. It includes art. They do lots of poetry and encourage lots of reading. And some of the lessons are also in conjunction with their app. So they have an app, and on there are some short videos to help explain certain spelling rules, or there's audio narrations or audiobooks that go along with the lesson. It's all very beautiful, very understimulating, which I deeply appreciate. And then with each language arts course, they also have a handwriting book. Now in grade 3, this is where they start learning cursive, which my daughter is very excited about. So that's grade 3, or at least the bulk of grade 3. Grade 1 is very similar. I actually have taught this course before to my oldest, and so it's very nostalgic to now be teaching it to my second child. We are reusing the math box from the first time we taught this. This one comes with a clock. So that's math, a very similar approach. Language arts is also very similar. He also has his own handwriting book and then his own language arts book. It's so very similar. But for grade 1, instead of reading a chapter book together, we are going through their booster cards. This includes sight words, it includes phonics that he needs to practice, and then this curriculum also includes a few short stories for him to read as well. In a nutshell, that is grade 1. Now pre-K, like I said, it just felt very heavy. I didn't love the way that they approached introducing the alphabet. Their approach is first introducing one letter at a time in alphabetical order, and every time they introduce a new letter, they introduce uppercase and lowercase, the name and the sound of each letter. I just found that for my children, that was information overload at age 4. So we are taking a different approach. All he really needs to learn this year is his alphabet and his numbers up to 10. He's going to learn that easily. That's not going to take a whole lot of effort, so really we don't need to do a whole lot of work. He was really interested in doing a little bit more because he saw his siblings doing schoolwork. He wanted to do it too. So I pulled out this book. This is how I taught my oldest how to read, and I loved this book. It has a very different approach, a very unique approach I haven't seen anywhere else. I highly recommend this book. It is available on Amazon. I will actually leave a link to my website, which has a whole ton of links. It has our curriculum links, resources links, all of that stuff. This is just very easily laid out. It introduces the sounds. It doesn't even introduce the names of the letters until the end of the book. It just approaches it completely different, and it's been really good. So love this, but we are still doing the pre-writing book from The Good and the Beautiful. This basically just includes a lot of different lines and mazes and shapes and things to color, basically getting him set up and prepared to start writing soon. This is really all we're going to focus on this year. I'll do some other little activities with him for like letter recognition. We'll do puzzles and I don't know, other small activities or crafts, but we're keeping it very simple for him. I mean, he's 4. He doesn't need to be doing a whole lot right now. So that covers math and language arts, but what about science and social studies? These are also subjects that we are required to report on, and there are certain goals and topics we are to touch on in each subject as well for each grade. So because it is so very specific where we live, I don't find that buying any sort of curriculum is very helpful. And science and social studies aren't things that we need to be learning every single day. So this is more so where the planning comes in. We do a lot of our science and social studies through books. We read a lot of books together. My kids, they just soak up information from books like you wouldn't believe. So this is a very effective way of teaching. It also means that I don't have to know everything because I'm learning alongside them, and I think that's really a beautiful thing. We'll also do some short YouTube videos, we'll do some documentaries, we'll get outside, we'll explore nature just very casually. Sometimes we'll do the odd mini study, like I might find a digital download on certain subjects that we're learning that will tie in somehow, but we keep this pretty casual. These aren't core subjects, so we're not putting as much attention toward them, but these are fun subjects that we all look forward to and we all do together. Math and language arts is more of an individual thing because it's very age appropriate. I almost forgot. In addition to the subjects we are required to report on, we also enjoy doing art. We do Bible study every day, which we do as a family together at the breakfast table. We'll memorize verses every week. Our kids are in extracurricular activities as well. So there are a lot of things that we're doing in addition that are more just for fun. 90% of our learning happens right here in this room, right around our kitchen table. Last year I had tried to set up the playroom into more of a homeschool room, and we just found that it wasn't really working out for us, especially as my youngest started to get older and more mischievous and more interested in what was going on. Having things down at her level wasn't working because she was just getting a little bit too involved. We have moved over to the kitchen table. Honestly, if we had a dedicated school room, we would probably still do most of our learning right here because it's just convenient. I'm in the kitchen a lot of the time, and so I can still be in the kitchen and with my kids as we're learning. Our TV is right over there in the living room, and so if we are watching something for educational purposes, or if the kids want to just sit and read a book, they can go right over there. We're still all kind of in the same area. If my kids want to go outside and take a break, the door's right here, so they can leave and I can still watch them, and it's just a really great universal area for us. It works really well, but it is a smaller than average dining room. We can only fit a small table in here, and there's no room for any sort of storage, which is why our school books are inside the kitchen cupboard. I've just tried to make the best use of our space as it is. So we have things like our chalkboard here. We've got learning resources randomly all over the place. I have alphabet flashcards up on a wall above our window. Behind you is a very small wall where I have kind of crammed as much stuff as I possibly could. I'm going to show you that in a minute. So let's talk about our routine. This is something I've had a really hard time trying to figure out, considering I am now teaching 3 kids. And we have a toddler who I'm also trying to entertain at the same time. We don't want school to take all day long. We don't want it to feel like this long process that we never complete. We really enjoy doing school in the morning and completing it in the morning so that we have free time for the rest of the day. After lunch, we move into nap time for my youngest, quiet time for my oldest, and then we don't have to think about it again for the rest of the day. We don't have like this heavy burden of like homework or things that we still need to do. So I try and make our mornings as efficient as possible so that we can get it done, but not feel too rushed, so that we can enjoy our time together. As the years have gone by and I've started to teach more children. This has become quite a balancing act. I'm juggling my attention back and forth between multiple children, trying to give them as much one-on-one time as they need. What we've been doing this year is opening up our days with some tea, which we call tea time, and then our handwriting books so that everybody's together. It's relaxed, it's calm. We always start the day with a prayer and our memory verse as well. This is our ease into the workday, and then once the handwriting books are completed, then we start getting into language arts and math, and I'll just rotate through each child. Whoever is not being taught or doing independent work will either do activities, they'll read a book, or they'll just have some free play time while they wait for me to teach them the next subject. In my vision for this year, I really thought my youngest two would be more involved. I thought they might want to hang out with us a little more, but that so far hasn't been the case. In fact, they have been off playing together. It's been very sweet watching them play, but it also means that my home can become a little bit disastrous while my attention is over here. But that's just something that comes with homeschooling. It's all part of the process and something that I have learned to accept. Like I said, every morning starts with family devotions. Everybody takes part in chores, everybody makes their bed, they get ready, and then we all gather together for the bulk of our morning learning. Sometimes learning will continue into the afternoon where we'll read books together, we'll watch videos together, sometimes we'll go for walks and study other things. But as for book work, that mostly happens in the morning, right here at this table. Now I will say, there are seasons in life where we have not been in a routine like this. In fact, when my fourth child was born, there were days when we would tackle homeschool in the evenings, or we would do a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon, a little bit in the evening. We just kind of squeezed it in wherever we could. And that is a beautiful thing about homeschool, is that we don't have to stick to an exact routine every single day. I do find we thrive when we are in somewhat of a rhythm, that if we want to have a play date one morning, we can go have a play date and then do school in the afternoon. If we need to go run errands, we can go run errands in the morning, do school in the afternoon. We have that flexibility, and that's something I need to remind myself of and recognize as the blessing that it really is. Okay, the last thing that I want to touch on is resources, because this is something I get lots of questions about. As you can see, this is the wall I was mentioning before. We have a lot of school supplies, resources, entertainment for the younger two. Back there we have a shelf. This is new. You can see there are some paint swatches on it. Whenever we find the time, we're gonna paint that blue. It's gonna be really cute. But this is where we are storing a lot of our educational books, some educational resources, extra supplies, things that don't fit in this general area. On this wall, I have things that we reach for very frequently. I've got a perpetual calendar here that we switch out and we discuss. I also have a weather board up there. I get a lot of questions about that one. That was from a Love Every box a long time ago, but I'm sure there are similar ones like that online. Within the Good and the Beautiful curriculum, there is a lot of watercolor involved. So I have our watercolors here, so it's just quick to grab. And then most of the other stuff here is just things that I can quickly grab for my youngest two, so that I'm not running to the living room or to the playroom to find something. I wanted it here so I can just grab it and keep going. So in here we've got Play-Doh, we've got an abacus, which we actually use for the older two as well. Books and some color sorting toys. These puzzles are a new addition. Some little educational, oopsie, just some little educational activities for the youngest two to be doing while the oldest two are doing their book work. This is another one that we really enjoy. There's little magnetic balls in here, and this pen is magnetic as well. And so we've been doing this a lot for my 4-year-old. Other resources we also really enjoy are simple things like stickers. Depending on her mood, this can entertain my toddler for quite some time. We love card games as well. This is a really great thing that's both educational but fun. So it's nice for family game nights, but also if we need to just take a break during school and do something fun. And some new purchases I have made. Every year I like to buy a couple new things for the youngest children to do, just to rotate things through, keep things fresh and interesting. So I bought some little color sorting activities here. There's all these little animals. And we've got tweezers so she can practice her fine motor skills by picking up the little animals and putting them in the correct color bowls. I got some of these magnetic men, which are just fun. Basically, I just rotate through various activities like this. I might do a very simple sensory activity once in a while. Play-Doh, kinetic sand are great, puzzles. Sometimes she will color or paint with water, and sometimes she just wants to go and play with her siblings. And these are all ways that I entertain my toddler while doing school with the oldest one. But I think that kind of sums up this video. I feel like I covered a lot of bases, a lot of questions that I am frequently asked. I am very excited for the school year. Every year I feel like we come away with more wisdom, more patience, more perseverance. At the end of each school year, it's amazing looking back and seeing where we started and where we ended up. Homeschool has really been such a blessing for our family, and so if you are someone who is thinking about homeschooling or looking into the possibility of doing this, I want to encourage you, because I am someone who never in a million years thought I would be standing here talking to you about how we are homeschooling, but here I am. If you are feeling a little bit lost or overwhelmed, I hope this video gives you hope. We have a very realistic approach to homeschool, and honestly, if I can do it, you can do it too. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.